I don't tend to make announcements on our podcast like this. This isn't some, safe space, but I don't want to be the biggest jerk in the world either. So with that said, if you or someone you might happen to know or be Oscar winner Eddie Redmayne, just ask him to turn this podcast off now. No, you don't want to have to hear what I have to say, Eddie Redmayne. Please, for your own sake, turn away now, Eddie. Turn away now. Welcome to Half-Ass Movie Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Half-Ass Movie Podcast, a show where we put together a half-ass theme as an excuse to watch movies. My name is Adam Portress, and joining me today, he too has been known to traipse around major metropolitan cities in his tighty-whitey sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
You don't know, but I do.
Bruce Leslie is out this week. His internet has yet to be restored at his place. The storm threw a bunch of us in a bit of a pickle this week. I was in that camp for a hot second.
If you didn't throw it to me the way that you did, I was going to say my favorite line of the movie, which is popularity is the slutty little cousin of prestige.
Bruce Leslie is that popular slut in our group. I'll tell you that much. The boy gets around. But he's out this week and everything. But don't worry, we got one more Michael Keaton movie still left in us in our fifth and final entrance into our series, Michael Keaton, the movies of Michael Douglas. And this week we're going all the way back to 2014. Some might say a simpler time, so that we may witness, dare I say, the best Michael Keaton performance today. We'll see, but first we want to say a big thank you to the people who support this show over at patreon.com/HMP. Those awesome people get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone. Dinger Zone this week, Sean and I list off our top 5 films from 2014. 2014 is a year that I don't think people realize had a lot of really amazing movies in it.
True. I was kind of surprised when I looked it up. I said, oh, wow, there's a lot to choose from here. I don't think that we're going to have a lot of the same on our list. And we didn't.
Yeah.
We had one.
Yeah, just one. And it was, it's a pretty obvious one, I would say. But especially if you're, kind of in our group and everything. But 2014 is quite a time over there. So go check out this over at patreon.com/HMP. Join up at whatever level you think that this show is worth and get a little bit back in the meantime, man. We got a lot of stuff coming your way very soon. So stay tuned to all of that. And if you can't do that,
everybody wants to say that 1999 is one of the best movie years of modern history. And it's a great year for sure. But 2014 is also, it's pretty damn close, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's no, what year did Bloodshot come out? 2020?
2020. That would be 2020. I know that for certain. If there is one thing I am certain of, it's that Bloodshot was the last movie I saw just before the pandemic shut everything down. And I was really concerned that the last thing I would ever see at a movie theater was Bloodshot, starring Vin Diesel.
What a horrible way that would have been for the last chime of cinema to be Vin Diesel's blood.
Oh my Lord! Such an awful movie.
I will say this: thank God for me, because I got under the wire, and my last one was The Invisible Man from that year.
Wow!
So at least I walked out. If indeed films were to never be opened again, at least I had a good movie under my belt. I was like, whoa, thank God.
That is a good movie too.
So they're not all stinkers, but boy, if Vin Diesel's in it, there's a halfway decent chance.
Do you think he knows? Because I've heard on other podcasts, far more successful podcasts than ours, that they think that Vin Diesel knows that he's trashy, like that he does basically trash. I don't think so. I think that he thinks he's putting out great work and that he's a really good actor.
Yeah, I think that's why he and The Rock actually clash and everything, is because I think they both think they're doing the best work, and really they're both doing their work.
What, you trying to press my buttons right now, Portress, bringing up The Rock on our show? On our show, you're bringing that? that waste of everyone's time, The Rock up. My God.
Well, we just want to derail it as quick as we can. That's all. It happens.
Oh, The Rock and Kevin Hart are in the same movie with Vin Diesel. Wow, that sounds amazing.
Hey, listen,
man.
Gal
Gadot's in it too. Oh man, this is going to be a real treasure of a movie.
Hey, is Ice Cube looking like somebody's farting around the place?
Hey, first of all, at least Ice Cube has a couple of great movies under his belt.
That's true.
I can't say the same for anyone else I just mentioned, except Gal Gadot does have the first Wonder Woman, which is pretty great.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Hey, man, if you're not busy, why don't you head over to the iTunes there, drop us a 5-star review. It's been a minute, man. We really appreciate it. And share the show with a friend. Tell other people. Emails halfassmoviepod@gmail.com. I'll give you the wrong damn thing.
Make Adam's week, would you? That'd be great.
I just want to have a friend.
He needs a couple of wins. Come on,
for the love of everything, please. Let's get into it. This week we're talking about Birdman from 2014. Here's the IMDb plotline for Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. As we all know, IMDb 100% correct in everything they say and or do. A washed-up superhero actor attempts to revive his fading career by writing, directing, and starring in a Broadway production. This is written by Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu, Nicholas Guillaume, Alexander Dinelaris, and Armando Bo. Those are pretty much all his guys that just kind of, there's buddies. They've been producing and all that kind of good stuff. Directed by Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu, who did Amores Perros, 21 Grams, Babel, Beautiful, and The Revenant. This is starring Michael Keaton, Zach Galifianakis. Yes, he was second billed. Zach Galifianakis was second billed. Edward Norton, Andrea Riceborough, Emma Stone, Amy Ryan, and Naomi Watts. 2014. This was the year, man. Michael Keaton was like making this big giant comeback, and like this was that film for him, wasn't it?
It was, and it's one of those things too where you don't. I at least at the time, I didn't think of Michael Keaton as being out of the business. You know, like he was doing, he was working all the way through. It's just that he wasn't doing a ton of high profile stuff at the time.
Exactly. They weren't stuff that people were actually out there watching or consuming. He wasn't like, not for nothing, but like he wasn't Batman anymore. He wasn't doing, the biggest box office numbers of all time. He was in stuff, but mostly stuff that most people probably did not see.
And I think that, it's self-fulfilling because I think that he has stated, I don't know how true this is because you never know with actors. You never know if it's true or not.
Oh, we'll be talking about that with this movie for sure.
But he had said that he was trying to step out of the spotlight for a while so that he could just be a normal human being with his family. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much I believe that, but that's what he says. And that once his kids were grown, he could step back into bigger roles and bigger movies again.
Sobering up is a worse way to say that, though.
There is that too, where there is clearly a time where, as we've seen through some of his filmography here, clearly the man had substance abuse problems. Mm. I don't know if he's I don't think he is here. And he definitely isn't in Beetlejuice.
He seems like he's so, like, now granted, and it's a wild thing to say based upon this particular character, but his acting, he is so clear-eyed in this, it's fantastic. Yeah. Like, he's really he's so on point with all of this, and we'll talk about, like, how everybody is so on point with this movie and stuff like that. But did you, was this a theater one for you?
I did not see it in the theater, but I did see it when it came home. Pretty quickly after it came home too, because I just heard everything about it, and I'm this massive Michael Keaton fan, so I wanted to see what all the hubbub was, bub. And so I saw it, and when I saw it, I still have the same thoughts on this movie, which is that the actors in this movie are really doing amazing work, like truly, truly terrific. Probably some of their best performances ever for most of the people in this movie. However, I think that this movie is so pretentious. It has such a problem of like pretentiousness that it's a wall that's going to keep a lot of people away, or it's going to have people like, hey, what is that thing over there? I want to see what that's all about, and then immediately like turn away because it's a very, very pretentious movie.
Yes, but at the same time too, and I felt a little different watching it this time because I watched it back in its theater run and everything, Ballantyne Village Theater, rest in peace. I saw a lot of movies there that year, but I kind of like, because I knew the director and everything going in here because of his previous work and whatnot, so I was kind of excited for this. Keaton coming back and everything. So I saw it the first time. I liked it for what it was. I think I got it on Blu-ray and everything. It's got like a little red package there and everything as opposed to blue, so that was kind of fun, a little different. I watched it, I think probably once, maybe twice on Blu-ray way back, probably like right in that 2014, 2015 range and stuff like that. Liked it again, but this time I feel like I saw a lot of those same sort of things, and they, at least to me, struck and felt slightly different this time. I feel like and you're not wrong, this movie is up its own ass, but yes. I think it also knows it's up its own ass too.
Well, I think that by mentioning it, that they think that they can get away with that. But the problem is that it's not like your typical straightforward storytelling, which doesn't bother me. Like, that's totally, totally fine. There are a few moments in this movie that I just have to roll my eyes. Like, even now, you know, there's a few times where you're just like, come on, guys, like, get out of your own way, please, movie. Get out of your own way. Because there are a few times where they are definitely like trying to show you just how smart they are. And good movies don't ever do that. Like, a good film never has to show you how smart they are. They're just smart. And this is one of those movies that needs you to know, look, we are very good at our job and we are very, very smart people. And they want you to show you, and they tell you. And it makes for some bad moments in this movie.
Yes, but at the same time too, though, at least for me, that stuff is all there, but we're also seeing the juxtaposition of that, because none of these people are ever seen in a glowing light, I don't think. I think we're all meant to not necessarily like just about anybody in this movie.
No, but it's sort of like, this movie reminds me a lot of the movie The Player, which is also one of those movies where you're like, oh, that's good. Like, that's a good movie. I kind of like that movie. But The Player also, it's very important that you know how smart the people are who are making that movie. Mm-hmm. And like, we're going to be cheeky devils and like all of these things. And they're going to say all of these things about the process of making film, or in this case, the process of making a play and acting in general. And just because you're saying how pretentious some of this is, doesn't make you less pretentious by saying it.
No, I think to me, at least, especially this time, this movie for this watch felt like so much of them just like flaunting of like, hey, here's who we kind of are and everything. And like, let's take Edward Norton, for example, because he's an amazing actor. I think everybody can pretty much get on board with that. And he is absolutely terrific in this film. So good. But we also know that Edward Norton has a bit of a reputation as well. He's not the most easy guy to get along with. He's creatively difficult sometimes. I think that, you know, at least from what I've kind of seen, it tends to be that he feels like he's got, you know, a handle on whatever he's doing and has a mind to go in a particular direction, and will kind of butt heads with you if, you know, he doesn't particularly like it and everything. But I mean, there are moments in this where you see this and they're showing you this great stuff, but also showing you that, like, this guy's a scumbag. He's a piece of garbage. And like, they're really, like, as talented as he is, he's bringing in people, he's bringing in interest into this, but he's an absolutely volatile human being. He's a bad person overall. And like, but you need him, but you also, him being around is an absolute destructive mess and everything. And that's what the whole movie's just trying to, you know, ratchet up tension, you know, for 2 hours straight for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything you said is right. Everything you've said is correct. I think I know I keep damning this movie. I'd like to say something good about it now, which is that the performances are incredible. Edward Norton is incredible in this movie. Michael Keaton is amazing in this movie. One of the things that is, I don't know if I'd use the word subtle, but he is very good at acting when he's acting in the movie, and then just portraying it as a normal as when he's backstage. Like there's not a huge change, but the change you can tell when it's happening. And he's not great. He's not a great stage actor like Edward Norton's character is.
Yeah.
He's okay. And so when he gets into that tiff with the first actor at the beginning of the movie, it's not even a tiff. It's just like, man, this guy stinks. This guy's really bad at this. And he's telling him how to be a better actor, and yet he's not a great actor himself. Like those are really great moments in this thing. And I think that having, that's where I wanted to go. When do you think that Michael Keaton's character hurt that guy? Like, do you think that he set that up so that guy would get hurt and have to leave?
Oh yeah, he says he did it. He tells Galifianakis's character that he did it, and he looks at him like, you don't know whatever. But he has been manipulating things and stuff with his mind. So I 1000% believe he dropped that light on him. He thought that. He's just like,
he says he does. He said he did it with his mind, but I think he actually did it. Like, I don't think he did it with his mind. I think that he actually did.
Well, either or. Guilty is charged either way, I suppose. Maybe we can, point to a slightly different type of crime, but crime nevertheless. Let's talk about his, the entire kind of just technical conceit of the movie, because it's a big thing, and one that I think outside of Michael Keaton was probably the thing that was talked about the most, is the fact that the movie is kind of portrayed as one shot for the most part. There's obviously several cuts in it, and much later in the film for the most part, but it's all kind of portrayed to be seen as one big giant shot. What's your thought about that?
I think that it's a stunt. I think it's something to garner interest in your movie. I think that it works. What they're doing here works. But it's another moment of pretentiousness to me. Like you're being pretentious with this. You don't need to make this one cut. That doesn't. There's no added value by making this. This super long oneer. I think that they. I like. It's neat, but there's not. It doesn't give you a sense of immediacy. It doesn't give you it doesn't feel claustrophobic. Like I think they were trying to make it feel when he's just in the back of the theater. But I think that it's well done enough. I think that the biggest problem that we're having, because you clearly love this movie, whereas I just think it's okay, is that you love, because you've picked this before with your pick for Dude in Box, Buried Alive, where you're like you love stuff like that.
Interesting way of telling stories, yeah.
Right. You want to see a different way of filmmaking. You want to see different ways of filmmaking, of making a movie. I am not as on board for that kind of thing. I think that it takes away from the movie, honestly. But I know that you love it.
Once that D.W. Griffith started cutting in on people's faces, I was out, brother. Out. I won't stand for this. Jarring as hell is what that is. Close-ups, Jesus. Woo, no, thank you.
I think that I think that it's a different way of telling a story for sure. But I don't think that there's anything special or magical about it at all. As a matter of fact, I think that it kind of takes away from the movie.
Now, that was my initial thought when seeing the kind of movie previously. This time, I enjoyed it much more, and I'll tell you why. Because to me, this time, I kind of looked at it through the lens of, it is voyeuristic. We're kind of following all of this stuff around. It is that kind of behind the scenes sort of things. And in the theater and everything, there is no editing. It is live. It's in front of you. It's what you're seeing and everything. And what it like this, so it's got a little that kind of like live theater sort of feel to it, in as much as we're not cutting, we're staying with it the entire time. A lot of the editing goes on, within your eyes. But that goes to my next point, which is for a movie that, when you hear it on paper, it's just in the broadest of spectrums, it's a movie that only has one shot throughout the entire thing. We follow it around, but it's just one shot. That can sound awful boring. And in the wrong hands, it would be awful boring. Here, it ain't. If it's anything, it ain't boring, because you're moving all over the place. And what he does with framing and everything, and just keeping stuff interesting, keeping the movement of the camera interesting, and never really getting bored with anything, having like great dialogue scenes between two characters that, we're just kind of rack focusing just a little bit here and there, and using our eyes to do that edit and whatnot. It gives it that kind of more raw theater feel and everything. And when we see specific scenes like, with your, the Emma Stone one's the first one that kind of comes to mind here down. And I just like, what a great, weird little half-lit set with the odd-ass carpet and whatever the hell she's sitting on doing God knows what. I don't know what's going on in that scene, but it's like it's very cool looking. And we sit there on this.
What scene are you talking about? What scene are you talking about?
Where she's where Keaton's talking to her, having that conversation, and she's kind of she has her big speech.
Who's she?
Emma Stone. Emma Stone's speech.
Okay.
So her big speech to him and everything when talk about like smoking pot or whatever,
right,
is we're sitting with her the entire time on this one shot, and we are really leaning into letting these characters sit there, or these actors do their craft right in front of us. And with the cameras that they're using for a lot of this, so many of these lenses are just very wide angle lenses, because you're trying to capture as much stuff on screen as you can. But also so many of these shots are with these wide angle lenses, but super close on these people's faces and everything, giving you a very close and intimate performance that you normally would not get in other types of movies, I don't think. And because you're sitting with them, you are just sitting with that acting choices that they are making within that moment right there. And she goes through that entire scene and has, and then a walk-off scene, and Keaton has to sit there a little bit before they kind of end up making, our magic secret, silent cuts that are, peppered obviously throughout the movie and everywhere, because you can't do this for one giant shot. But the amount of acting that is going on in this, and I think that is where it really stands out, is everybody is just acting their ass off left and right in this movie, and we can't cover it up with edits. We can't cover it up with things. You're seeing that performance as it's going on, and it's in a movie that is about plays that has no editing, and you just are witnessing the performances in front of you. And much like a play, your eyes are kind of going to where they go in a play, and you're kind of editing, so to speak, that way. This is that exact same feel.
Okay. I think like the lenses and all that stuff, like I understand, like that's your jam. But if you are a normal person watching a movie, you don't give a shit about any of that. like really,
no.
What you want is you want a good story, and you want something that is going to hold your interest. And I would say to you that this movie holds your interest because you care about such things. I don't think the same thing applies to other people. Like, oh, isn't that very clever that it's all one shot like a play, and it's about a play? Like that is clever. That is a very clever idea. It's just it's not enough to like make this movie a great movie, in my opinion. Like this movie is all a stunt, is what it feels like. And that's fine, but that like a stunt movie doesn't make for good watching. Like if you're like a normal person, I mean, for me, I'm looking at the backgrounds. I'm, in this movie because that's usually where these big oneers skimp because they have to. But they didn't in this movie. They did a great job.
Everything is everywhere and looks like it's supposed to look. It all makes sense, and they've through trickery and whatnot, just laid out the geography of everything, so you kind of know where things are at and whatnot, and does a pretty good job of kind of keeping you abreast of everything. But also at the same time too, there's interesting ways of passing time. I mean, the movie itself takes place 4 or 5 days, something like that. And so, we'll end up kind of looking at a skyline, evolving that around, and then right back into the next sort of thing. I think I think you're correct in as much as like it is part of a stunt, but I don't feel like the movie itself is particularly relying solely upon that.
I totally disagree with you. I think this entire movie is based on that stunt. Look, I think that the acting performances are amazing in this. I think they're terrific. But this whole movie is based on the trick of this movie. Like every bit of this movie is that. And I think that I think that the performances, this movie doesn't get nearly the praise if the performances aren't good. No. But I want to bring up one thing that another positive thing about this, which is that I had completely forgotten that Zach Galifianakis was in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Like I had totally forgotten he was in it because he's just playing a normal person, which is shocking because I kept waiting for the Zach Galifianakis moment to happen in this movie, and it never did. He's just a producer. He's just the producer of this movie and Michael Keaton's best friend. And so that part of this is kind of a revelation of this movie, is that you see Galifianakis and there's an expectation the second he shows up on screen where you're like, well, he's going to be very Zach Galifianakis at some point, and he never is. He's just a normal guy. You know what he's kind of like? It's kind of like that procedural show he was on, where he was just like a normal guy, like on the show.
Oh,
and I can't remember the name of it. It was on Fox.
Yeah, was it Ghost Whisperer?
I don't remember.
Something like that. It was with the gal, the dark haired girl that everybody kind of ended up being a pain in the Elijah Dushku. And she was like a paranormal investigator, and he was like a coroner or something like that. Yeah, I remember a couple episodes. He's great in this. He's so understated, and you're looking at it, you're like, I feel like Galifianakis could do a lot more serious work. He's really good.
I do too, if he gets the roles.
Yeah, if he was given the right things, And again, I think this also comes from a lot of funny people too. A lot of funny people, a lot of funny comes from pain a lot of times. So they can probably dig in and have those serious sides. And I don't know the man. I don't know nothing about his history. I would just put a guess on. I'd just say he probably hadn't had the best of life sometimes, and could probably pull some interesting places and stuff like that. And I feel like, that he does that in what few, kind of dramatic roles that we've seen him in. I'd like to see him in more stuff.
I would too, just being like an actor.
Yeah, just an actor. Because like I said, he's good. He's very believable. Like if you did not know who Zach Galifianakis was and you saw this, you wouldn't expect a zany performance because you wouldn't know who that guy is. But he's very understated, very good.
Yeah. It was a bit surprising. I was like, oh right, I totally forgot that he's in this.
Naomi Watts is amazing as always. I just, everything that she's in, I'm just a fan of. There's something about her face that is just very honest. I don't know if that's right, but maybe that's the right first thing that kind of comes to mind. It feels like she's always kind of given a very truthful performance in whatever she's doing, whether it's this or friggin' King Kong or a David Lynch film. I feel like she's always given it her all,
Yeah, I agree. She's always solid. Always a solid actress, that one.
Oh, and Amy Ryan being an age-appropriate woman in a film, God bless. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Oh,
I know.
What a lovely thing, and also a great actress who I don't think gets enough credit in her stuff. She's always somebody that's kind of a little bit around, and you're like, oh yeah, she was in that and that and that. Holy shit, she's in everything.
Also, the name of that show was True Calling.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep. Eliza Dushku, Zach Galifianakis' third build in the show.
Her character's name was True.
Oh, I see what they did.
Mm-hmm.
I never watched a single moment of that show. I just love hearing Zach Galifianakis talk about it when asked about it. He's like, "Yeah, it was a paycheck," you know.
Yeah, it looks like he's walking through it, but again, like
totally,
you know, if you're getting that money, go ahead and why not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So where does Iñárritu fall for the kind of I don't know if you remember this back in the day, but it was kind of coined the Mexican mafia that included Iñárritu, Guillermo del Toro, and Alfonso Cuarón, of just kind of like the top three kind of Mexican directors that have just kind of come up and just really kind of taken over and stuff like that. Where's he kind of fall on that scale for you and everything?
For me, he's third place of the guys that you mentioned. I understand that he has his fans. I understand all that. He's a great filmmaker. He hasn't made something yet that makes me go, well, man, I gotta see that. Like he's made movies where I'm like, oh, that looks cool. But, I'll get around to seeing that at some point. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing where I'm just like, oh man, that sounds like the most amazing thing in the world.
Yeah, I think the last one, obviously, Revenant was the kind of big one,
right? But I still haven't even seen that movie.
It's one of those where you are watching, going like, I would hate to be shooting this. I would hate it. I would hate it because no one looks like they're having any kind of fun. It's just you got DiCaprio, you're dragging him through 8 miles of shit, and I think. If he's not, there's somebody that looks an awful lot like Barry Pepper in that movie, and that dude can get jacked up. So like it is, it's not a fun time, but it's a good one. I need to see it again. It's been a minute.
I've never seen it. It's one of those movies where it was like, yeah, okay, so Leonardo DiCaprio's trying to get that Oscar. He's just keep going after that Oscar, and he finally got it. Good job by him. But that's another one of those movies where it's like, this doesn't feel like something that it doesn't matter what I think. I've never seen it.
No, it's not one that people. The only thing that people remember is a lot of the Bear and Tom Hardy.
And I do remember that at one point it was it was called the bear rape movie. Yeah, like there was a scene where the bear rapes the guy, right?
He destroys him. I think the people that insinuate any kind of rapage or maybe saying something about themselves, I don't know. It seems a little bit weird. I never took it as a raping, but I think that says for
it was from the rumors I've heard is that there was originally a scene in there that was taken out.
I think that's a little bit of the old
fakery,
the old hullabaloo, if you will.
Sure, I totally believe. I totally believe that. And that guy's like real story, the actual story of that guy is far more interesting to me than some depiction of it. It's like, they made that skater movie, the documentary made by one of the skaters, that documentary, Dogtown and Z Boys.
Yeah. And
then they made the fictional telling of the movie. It's like, why would I want to see that? Like, I saw the documentary, and the documentary is amazing. Yeah, I don't want to see a fictionalized version of this.
I don't know if they ever did it, but they were talking about like kind of doing that exact same idea with King of Kong, and you're like, why?
Why would you do that? Who cares?
Yeah, why? Like, you're not going to get more interesting than the guys that are in the movie. That's it. Your story's done. We're finished. Why more? No.
There's an actual real life villain in that movie.
Yeah, we're not pretending. This guy's real. For as weird as he is real.
He's a real person.
What a fantastic time. But they just kind of do whatever they want. They don't care.
So let me ask you something. Before today, what did you think my reaction to this movie was going to be?
I felt like it was probably going to be fairly close to this. I didn't think quite as hostile, but I mean, I could definitely the pretentiousness is there, and I don't disagree with that statement. But at least upon this viewing, it feels like they are kind of. They're saying, "Hey, we are." Yes, it feels like they're saying that they are pretentious while also being. You know how Hot Fuzz, right? Hot Fuzz starts like a movie that goes like, hey, we're not this kind of thing. This is just a small town here and everything. We don't have anything kind of going on. That's not what goes on here. You're thinking of something like some of these crazy action films and stuff like that. None of these sort of things happens. And then eventually it becomes that. This is kind of that same. Those movies, yeah. This is that kind of same thing, I think, where it's just like it becomes what it is while also maybe now it's not as smart as like a Charlie Kaufman script, mind you. You know, it's not like one of those, but
very few are. Yeah,
it's tough to get that level. But like if you'd had him take a pass at this script or something, it almost could be brilliant, maybe. But there's enough meat on them bones. I think that they are aware of it, but at the same time too, also showing you a lot of the kind of crummy things and actors in Hollywood and that kind of stuff. Edward Norton's character is an amazing talent. This guy is really good at what he does. He's also a piece of garbage. Keaton's character has just this great, he was this guy who had, again, a much career like Michael Keaton, where you were, Batman and everything. You didn't want to be in that final movie and everything, but, life didn't work out. You're just trying to claw your way back up here and everything. It's an interesting enough story, and it works for me for what it does. And again, with seeing the performances from the characters and everything, just the wild and strange choices that we make. I love just seeing the jazz drummer just pop up in hallways and stuff like that. Yeah. Just weird shit. Cool. I love that. I love the crazy jazz score throughout the entire thing as well. Him actually, running in his underwear in what is clearly, actually, Times Square and everything. With some people that clearly were not in on what was going on. Yeah. Because not all of those people were. Some of them were, but some of them were definitely like, what the hell was that? Michael Keaton in his underwear running around here? And I don't know. There's something about the movie that, like, even despite all of those things, which I absolutely concur with and everything, there's something about the execution of it all that just at least... for me, it scratches enough of an itch, and it's funny watching this thing in Blu-ray and everything. It looked pretty decent, but I do want to see this sucker in 4K because I bet it looks a lot better. And there's some interesting spots in this where there were some really bright lights and stuff, and in Blu-ray that were like booming specular highlights. And I'm like, man, you put that in 4K, I might go blind or some crap like that. But I'll take those odds. So let's talk about this. Because this is a thing that's bugged me for, God, 10 years. 10 years at this point. Is that the Academy Awards are this year, and Michael Keaton is back on his game. Listen, you can say what you will about this film. I think even the hardest of hearts can agree that Michael Keaton put out a damn fine performance in this film. Say what you will about the film, his performance, pretty darn good. Especially given other Keaton performances. And, we've seen many this month. I would say amongst his best. I mean, especially like...
Yeah, I don't think it's his best. I think he's really, really good in it, though.
Like when his face is all jacked up and he's looking out the window and everything, like that's the most... Like that, 5 seconds is more the acting than Michael Keaton's done in half his career. It's good. It's goddamn, it's solid. Where was I going?
It's been bothering you for 10 years.
Oh, yes. So he gets nominated for Best Actor for this movie, which is great, and he's got some pretty decent odds. But then Eddie Redmayne wins the Oscar playing Stephen Hawking.
Mm-hmm.
A movie with which he spends 75% immobile in a wheelchair. I like Eddie Redmayne well enough as an actor. I don't think he's a bad actor. In fact, I think he's probably a fairly talented actor. I like him in a lot of stuff. Great in Les Mis. His teeth, his lips were as chapped as they could ever be in Jupiter Ascending. It drives me bonkers to this day, but he wasn't the worst thing in that movie. That movie was just awful all around. But there is zero way that he deserved a Best Actor Oscar over Michael Keaton in a movie where Keaton is acting his ass off. He is in damn near every scene. He's absolutely destroying in this, and we give it to Eddie Redmayne for sitting in a chair.
Right.
Disgusting.
But there's the old adage, right? There's that great Kids in the Hall sketch where there's 5 people nominated, and they all have some sort of like handicap.
Mm-hmm.
Like the actors all, not the actors, the roles they're playing. They all have, there's like some sort of handicap. And then the line is always, I might have a nail in my head, but you're the ones who have a nail in your head in here, and points to his heart. Like stuff like that. And so if you have some sort of like malady, the chances of you getting an Oscar are far greater than if you're just playing a role, right? Just a normal role.
Oh yeah.
And on top of that, the only thing is that you also could totally be mocked forever for playing one of those roles and being terrible at it. Like, think of like I Am Sam, like movies like that,
man,
where you're like, this is like a joke. Like this movie is like a joke.
I remember seeing a trailer for I Am Sam in the theater and just squirming in my seat, feeling wildly uncomfortable. It was just like even within the 2-minute trailer, you're like, oh no. No. This, and it wasn't like it was like, this is like, 46-year-old Sean Penn.
Yeah.
So it's not like he wasn't some spring chicken or something like that. We've had 30 years of you on the screen, my friend. We know who you are. You can't just turn this on.
So that's the reason, right? Like it's because he has a malady, a physical malady, a handicap, which is why he gets the Oscar eventually, because that's kind of the trick, is that, if I play this mentally handicapped or physically handicapped person, the chances of me winning an Oscar are pretty damn good. But if I'm bad at it, then I become a laughing stock.
Yeah.
So there's that, right? I mean, look at Tom Hanks's Forrest Gump. There's no way he should have won Best Actor for that movie, but he did.
No. I will say this, though, that's maybe the last time, for lack of a better, where like a serious film has had like a Best Actor winner, I would think. When's the last time anybody that's like you said, had a malady or something like that,
right.
was, I was the gay beaten brother or something, or it's never just like I played a father of 3 who's just really hilarious. I don't know. That guy's never getting an Oscar.
Right, exactly. There and the same thing is true with the Emmys. There's a saying at the Emmys: who's going to win this year? The gays or the Jews? that's always the line. And because the serious thing that usually wins, like best movie, best television movie, it's always like it's about gay people or it's about Jews. Like that's always the case, right? And in the last couple of years, that hasn't been true, but that adage is still there. Like you can say that anywhere at an Emmy party, and if they're in the business, they're like, "Oh, it's probably the gays this year."
Gotta be one of we flip a coin back, Sage. Figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So
little does everyone know, it's not the gays or the Jews who run Hollywood. It's the gay Jews.
Those are the worst ones. Terrible. I'm sorry. All right, let's go. Michael Keaton, is he doing in this flick? So this is our last Michael Keaton film. I'd say comparatively, this Michael Keaton is our best Michael Keaton.
I think that this is a great role. I think he's great in it. I think he is, does he have can somebody replace him? You can, but there's an added level of understanding with having Michael Keaton in this role because he was Batman.
Yeah. There's
sense.
history to this guy as an actor, as someone who went through this, thing, so to speak.
I don't think it's his best performance. I don't even think it's his best performance of things that we've watched him in, but I think that he's very good in this. Like he deserved an Oscar nomination for sure. I think that he's doing a lot of subtle work, a lot of over the top work. He's doing everything, and he's pretty great.
Now, okay,
there's basically three different Michael Keatons in this movie. There's the actor, there is the guy backstage, and then there's the guy who's around his family. Mm-hmm. Those are three different roles that he's playing, basically.
And the one in his head.
Oh, right, 4. Right.
Yeah, it's just like you're right. He brings the kind of, not for lack of a better word, but the baggage, not in a bad sense though, that he does bring to this being Michael Keaton, does make it almost unmistakably a Michael Keaton kind of thing. If you do change somebody else, like you said, it changes the whole dynamic of everything. It could be the same, but it won't be this. That's for sure. You couldn't put Jeremy Renner in that role and all of a sudden it's the same damn movie. No.
Yeah, exactly. And I do have to say, because I did not bring this up earlier and I wanted to, which is that I don't hate this movie like I hate Man, It's Trapped in Box movie. That movie made me so mad watching it. I was so angry watching that movie. This movie does not make me angry. This movie just makes me roll my eyes.
It doesn't make me angry. It makes me seethe. That's different.
Seething. But I wasn't seething. It's just not. It's not my kind of movie.
We don't carry number 2 pencils in this house because I'd be snapping them while I'm watching this film.
I don't hate this movie. I think that this movie is a very good movie for a lot of people. It's just not. It's not my favorite style of movie.
All right, well, let's get down to it then. We got we might as well hit it at this point. We got to say whether or not this movie is art or fart. And given that explanation, I'm going to go first. I'm going to say, listen, this is art enough for me. I think all of Sean's criticisms are 100% valid. I agree with them on many occasions as well. But at the same time, too, there's enough of me that can kind of look past all that. I think there is a bit of that kind of actory bullshit in there of Hollywood kind of showing us how much better that they are than all of us, and how like, yeah, hey man, when everything's dead and gone, my work is still gonna be here. It's like that real, like you said, that real pretentious bull crap and everything. But at the same time too, without some of that pretentious bull crap and everything, we may not have a lot of the great, amazing performances and stuff that we do have. Throughout the history of cinema and stuff like that, we've had a lot of like great art that's come from a lot of very bad people. And still happens, and it still happens, and it's still happening to this very day. So like it's to me, that's the dichotomy that I kind of like in this, is that it is showing that there is that art side, there is something that is interesting to that, and the journey to try to get to, the truth of something, expressing yourself, in front of like this audience and stuff, and getting that reaction and everything from them that you're looking for. There's something noble in that, but at the same time too, going, hey, these people, maybe not always the best, not always the best crowd, these actors and everything, and just showing that kind of dichotomy that somebody could, be that deep and that vapid at the exact same time. And I feel like that is the story of Hollywood in so many cases. So to me, it kind of very rings true with this. So that's why it's got to be an art for me, Sean.
I think that this movie wants so desperately to be called alt with a silent R. But it is art. I mean, this is an artful movie. It's artfully done, but God damn, they want you to know how artfully it's been done. And it's the part that makes me crazy about this movie. But it is art. I don't dislike this movie. I just I like the amount of aren't we clever with this movie is outstanding. And so it's art for sure. It's just, this is not a movie for everyone.
No, and yeah, I could definitely see, especially if you're an anti-Hollywood person, this is definitely going to be like all these queers talking about their feelings and stuff, and then somebody shooting somebody. It's all stupid. I don't like it. It's dumb. And they just turn the channel. You wouldn't make it 10 minutes if you were that guy, though.
I don't think that. Like, I don't think you have to be. I don't think you're a dummy if you don't like this movie. No. I think that it's just one of those things where you're like, look, man, I just want to see a movie. Like that's kind of how I feel about this movie. Like, look, man, yeah, you're super clever. We get it. Can I just see a movie, please?
I do feel like watching this movie is we are kind of seeing the Edward Norton experience. You know,
yes, it does feel that way.
Like what it would kind of be like to be with him on a movie. I feel like from the stories that we've kind of all heard, where it's just like he brings like a really great, smart, interesting take to everything, but he's a fucking nut job. He's crazy. He's all over the map. He can be a little bit, volatile if not kind of treated well or whatever. I don't know what's going on. So I don't know. Just it felt like we were watching, at least a version of him on screen.
Yes, a facsimile, a reasonable facsimile.
There's something along there. There's like a lot of sense memory going on, perhaps. in those things. But hey, when you're a tiny little guy, you gotta have a big heart, right? That is it, everybody. We reached our final movie here in our Michael Keaton month. It's been a pretty good one. What favorite one overall?
Oh man, Beetlejuice.
Just the OG Beetlejuice.
OG Beetlejuice. It's one of my favorites.
I'm gonna go with The Founder. We didn't watch that movie, but I
do love The Founder, and he has as I've said 1,000 times, he does have the thing that Bill Murray has, where this guy is the worst human being in the world, and I still like him anyway.
It's like, yeah, but he's, he's a bit of a jerk, but, come on. Look at that guy. He's all right. Yeah, I think I'd, of the movies we watched, this is probably, this is the one for me, because I just think his acting and stuff is the best in this one.
Sure.
Comparatively. I mean, I think we were all just like, listen, we all love Jackie Brown, but let's be honest, he was kind of the weakest link. Yeah,
he's the weakest link in that movie. Yeah,
which is sad because like that movie's got a lot of strong links in that chain. There's like, and he is, and he's not awful. At least he's not awful, but he is the least.
He's the worst part of the movie, though.
Yeah. So that's certainly not in there. The new Beetlejuice, I don't know that anybody's going like, what a tour de force we were there. So like really the choices are kind of this and OG Beetlejuice. So, and I know why you got the original one there. That makes nothing but sense. So, well, we're moving on, everybody. The September is over. October is upon us. And as such, we needed to get into that spooky feeling. So we've conjured up a theme that will hopefully get you guys in the spirit of the season next week as we kick off October with Scream-O-Ween, the films of Jamie Lee Curtis.
I thought it was Scream Queen O'Ween.
That's what is not what I said. I'm sorry.
No.
I wrote it. It's on the screen. I just didn't read it properly. Scream Queen O'Ween is what I meant to say. Scream Queen O'Ween, the films of Jamie Lee Curtis, is what we'll actually be watching this next week and everything. What were we starting it out with? I don't even think we even discussed that.
We didn't really discuss that. I think that it probably would. I think it would suit us to start with Halloween.
Yeah, let's start with there. Let's start at the OG one where she kind of got her big giant start and everything. That was the first thing that she was in, but the first big thing she was in. So that's what we'll be doing next week, talking about John Carpenter's Halloween. Sean, until then, where people can find you scooting around the internet?
Well, it's funny you should say scooting because I've got my e-scooter tour videos up on YouTube. It's at YouTube/SetDeckSean. Please check those out if you care. They are all vibes, baby.
Just vibe it out, everybody. Do yourself a favor.
This week is our last Vancouver video where I take clips of us scooting around downtown Vancouver and Chinatown.
You know what them videos are? Smooth.
They are smooth. They're very smooth.
Very smooth. I'm smoothing around over there. Check me out over on TikTok. I got a video I'm actually working on right now. It's been a bitch to try to get this over to the computer, and I've been without electricity for the past 2 days, so I haven't been able to do anything.
There's been that.
But go follow me. Go follow Adam Porches over there on TikTok. I got some setup. I got some cool things that I'm doing over there. I'm just I'm trying to have some fun, trying to be creative. So check that out. That is it, everybody. Join us next week for Scream Queen Oween, the films of Jamie Lee Curtis. For the absent Bruce Leslie, sweet Shanti Kovacs from the internet, I'm Adam Porches, reminding you that the only difference between art and fart is an F.